education disruption has been felt worldwide, and it has caused incredible inequality issues and incredible learning disruptions for everyone, ranging from toddlers to PhD students. I have friends that are also academics themselves, and it's been super hard for them too. I think, though, that as we all toil behind screens and try and do our best to catch up on our school and on our assignments in all of that, I think that a lot of people have in mind that the problem is actually the pandemic. And as soon as that is changed and that is controlled, we will be able to go back to normality. I think that there is a lot of youth and children and families in general, students, that are worried about being put in a position where they have to choose to go back. They are forced to go back to school. And I think that it's important that people be given that choice. I was really happy to see that there is this offer of chômage partiel on the table in France.
For work furlough. If your kid is sick. And they extended that, yes.
Yeah.
Olin Perez-Renaud,
let
me ask you on this point. Do you sense a generation gap when it comes to, just the general anxiety? Are young people more worried about COVID than old people?
I think that that's really difficult to quantify and to see. And I think that there is young people that are very highly educated, and there's young people that are not very highly educated, similarly with more kind of senior communities. I think that by and large, youth are more in touch with social media by many means. So you could say that in part, there is a lot more awareness of the virus from that sort of perspective. But I don't know. I wouldn't say that youth are more or less worried or aware about the virus.
Jacob Hessler?
Yeah, I think it's not so much being worried or aware of the virus when you're young. And it's not just about partying. I think what you can see, and when you go to the time before, is that we have a new generation growing up that's actually worried about where their place, their economic place will be. And that, of course, isn't helped by the virus. So in some sense, you could argue some of the behavior is maybe induced because you want to party. Some of it is also because you feel you don't see where the direction of travel for your generation. And that's where I think we really need to be careful, is about how are we going to make sure that when the pandemic is over, from a medical point of view, it is not at all over from the question of a generation that has grown through 2-3 years, that we need to make sure that they are properly fit to rejoin or join the workforce, because it's a major disruption for them.
Sturgis Moskos at Northumbria.
Right.
Let me just bring in Sturgis Moskos on this.
Jump in there.
Very briefly, go ahead.
So my opinion is that we have an inevitable continuation of the disruption that's going to happen over the next few months, possibly well into 2021. And we have to think about this as a given. We have to think about how we will supply to the children and the young people who don't have access to electronic means of education those means, whether it's wiring up their homes with the internet or whether it is giving them laptops, tablets, whatever it's necessary for them to learn. And they have to continue through that. We have to think about the post-outbreak society and the problems these people are going to have entering the work environment, which is going to have fewer work places available, and how we can empower them to either become masters of their own destiny, as in start their own businesses.
Are you feeling that anxiety among the students at Northumbria University where you teach?
Yes. So I had my final year students, which I literally, so to speak, held their hands through the lockdown and made sure I spoke to them once a week like this. And at the end of it, they were all saying, "What do I do now? I can't find any jobs. There's nothing out there. There's very little out there." And I said to them, "I know that. I totally understand that." And these people, this this group of people have come in to the working environment without a personal business, without a helping hand from the government to keep them going, because there's no furlough scheme, there's no self-employment scheme to keep them going. Their families possibly will support them if they can. There is no casual work in bars and pubs and restaurants anymore to keep the rent paid. These are things that we need to think as a society about how we help each other exit this crisis in an even playing field and not create those massive disruptions that Fred was speaking earlier.